Hello and welcome back to the 5th episode of the Clean Hour podcast. Hope you're all enjoying the episode so far and you're all doing well. And I hope business is good. So we're back at it today, episode 5. And today's all about money, finances, financial management. And it's probably the biggest concern that keeps people and business owners up at night. So it's really important to get a grip of it. And we're going to dive into it today. So joining me, as always, is Matt. Matt, you good?
Yes, good, stressed, busy, overworked and underpaid. But yeah, I'm good, pal. I'm really good, thank you.
Good man. Sorry if I sound a bit strange today. You know what, because it's been so hot, we've had like 2 fans blasting us at night and the window's open. Block nose. You're on your holiday and the aircon gets you. That's what I feel like. It feels awful. So sorry if I sound a bit odd.
Nightmare.
Cool, so let's get into it, man. So finances. Like I just said in the intro there, I think this is what keeps most people up at night. Would you agree in terms of business owners? Because a lot of people, they just wing it and they don't budget. There's so many issues, but we'll get into them in this episode. But would you agree that finances are kind of a biggest issue for a lot of business owners?
Yeah, absolutely. The number of business owners I speak to on a weekly basis that really have no financial understanding at all, and I was one of them many years ago, and it's only through trial and error that you get this understanding of, and you have to realize how important numbers are. Numbers, my accountant used to say to me, and he still does say to me, numbers don't lie. They don't lie. You can think you are busy and you can think you are doing really well, but numbers will tell you what you're doing. And they never lie. They never, ever lie. And people miss this really early on. They don't understand profit. They don't understand cash flow. They just think because they're busy that everything's great. And it really isn't. Understanding the numbers and setting your prices and your structure around numbers is massively important. Massively.
Yeah, we'll get into the mistakes, I think, later on. But there's people either don't charge enough, or they don't track their expenses, or they don't look at forecasts. There's so many issues, reasons for the issues, basically. But I think the first thing to talk about is knowing your numbers. So last year when we first met, I think it was probably meeting 1 that we had, that we just went straight into this, and it was one that I'd never even thought about. But going back to what someone else had taught, we can mention Entrepreneur Circle that we've both been a part of at some point. I remember them saying, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. Until they said that to me, I'd never even thought about it, and then it clicked when they said that. But then you kind of drilled it home when we first started speaking. And I think you asked me, how much does it cost me to run my business a day? That was one of the first things you asked me. I didn't have a clue, never even thought about it. And I reckon if you asked that to 10 pressure washing owners, I reckon 8 or 9 don't know the answer to that. So why is it important to know your numbers? And if you don't know it, what's the first thing that you should do to kind of get the ball rolling with that, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I do ask that question to everybody that I work with. And you're right, that the percentage of people that know it is very, very, very slim. And it's really important, right? Because knowing your numbers and knowing what it costs to run your company allows you to set your price. So, for example, if you are still working per square meter, or you're working by the hour, or even working by the day rate, right? Whatever your structure is to get money into the business. So let's say you're working on day rate, and these numbers I'm just going to pluck from thin air, right? You may have a couple of vans, and let's say you've got 2 or 3 blokes working for you, and maybe you've got a part-time admin staff, right? If you don't know what that costs to run per day, but you in your own mind says, right, what we need to earn £1,000 a day, right? We need to earn £1,000. So everything you're pricing and every job you're booking in for that day is making up to £1,000. And you're smashing it. You're doing your £1,000 and everything's great, right? A little bit of a struggle some days, but you're getting there. You're hitting your £1,000 target. If you don't know your numbers, how did you get to the £1,000? And this is the problem I see. So then when we go back through the numbers and we take everything into consideration of what we speak about, fuel, insurances, miscellaneous, breakdowns, wages, national insurance, tax, everything that goes into it, marketing, what happens if that number becomes, let's say it becomes £950? to run your company a day. You're making £50. There's no leeway then for any breakage. What happens if that number becomes 1,050? So you're losing now £50 a day if you execute the day perfect with no issues. Your van doesn't break down, you don't break a tool, nothing goes wrong. You don't have to give a discount because you haven't done something. Everything has to run like clockwork. So now you're already £50 down. Well, over the week, that's £250 down. Over the month, you're £1,000 down. And people don't see this because it's cash flow coming in. If you're invoicing £1,000 a day, you think you're doing well. But if your numbers aren't there to start with, you can't set the basis of what you need to charge. So if your company is £995 a day to run, that's got to be your start point. And then you put your profit miscellaneous on top of that. So you now need to invoice £1,500 a day, £1,600 a day. Because 995 is to run the business and the rest is for miscellaneous and profit. So that's the important bit that people really miss from day one. They don't get that.
Yeah, I think most people listening to this won't be doing that or won't know that. And that's not to have a go. It's just the reality. We don't think about these things. I certainly never. I'm guessing the point you didn't before you knew it. And I think it's all about expectations as well. Like we were talking before a minute ago, someone was saying what they wanted to earn in a year. And I actually had a message off someone yesterday on WhatsApp who said if he can take home 55k a year from pressure washing, he'd be happy. That's what he said. He said it would do him. And I said to him, yeah, but you've got to think of all the other things like you just said. Your marketing, your kit, your petrol, your hypo, everything, your 20% tax, all of that kind of stuff, your dividends tax if you're going to pay yourself that way. And you can't hit, if you have a goal in mind like 50k a year, which is, fair enough, you might be able to do it. But if you don't know how to get there, then you're just not going to do it. And you're going to be very disappointed at the end of the year, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a. I think if you're starting off right at the start, it's a lot simpler because there's probably just you and your van and your tools. You've probably put a cash injection in. Let's say you've put a cash injection into your business to start off, and let's say you've put £5,000 in, right? You put £5,000 in, you bought the bits you need. Then all you're really looking at is your marketing. What's that costing you? You're looking at your insurances. What's that costing you? Your fuel. And then you're looking at what you want to earn. So it's really simple to get it right. And if you get it right on day one, then as you grow, you just keep adding those expenses to it. And then it keeps moving your price. But what I see happen is and I hear it. I hear this not just in exterior cleaning, but in all businesses, right? And when I speak to people, I say, when was the time you put your prices up? They go, oh, God, no, I haven't, because I'm scared of losing customers. And I'll say, what, you haven't put them up this year? No. You put them up last year? No. When did you last put them up? Oh, we've been this price. And I'm making this number, we've been £35 an hour for the last 6 years. I'm at, wow. So everything has gone up in the last 6 years. Fuel has gone up. Labour's gone up, materials have gone up, inflation's gone up, and you're still the same price. Yeah. How? Your prices should go up every single year, like clockwork, every single year. But people are terrified of losing customers, and you shouldn't be. You're in this to make profit, right? You're not in it to do people a favour. You're not doing it as a hobby. It's not, oh yeah, I'm going to go and clean X for so-and-so because it's a mate and it's a favour. It's not. It's a business. And numbers build. Everything is built on the numbers. And you've really got to get it right at this early stage. The smaller you are, the easier it is. When you're a bigger established company, trying to work it out and unpick it all is a nightmare, believe me.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very easy as an exterior cleaning business owner to be a busy fool. And what we mean by that is doing loads of jobs out on the tools every single day, but charging peanuts or charging half of what you should be charging. Because, yeah, okay, you might be doing 2 driveways a day, but charging 120 quid a drive. But then when you get home and you people don't do it, but minus your petrol, minus your hypo, minus your sand, minus the diesel for your van, all of that kind of stuff. You could be earning nothing. And you're putting all your time into this cleaning every single day, 5-6 days a week. And at the end of the month, you're just left with nothing. So let's talk a bit about pricing then. Something that's interesting when you said to me was about charging a day rate instead of a per square meter. And I took this on board with my cleaning business, and I've preached it to clients of mine. And I can see when I say it, they don't really agree with it or don't get it. But for me, it makes perfect sense. So let's talk about that. So what we mean by that is most people, if they were to measure a roof or a drive or a patio or whatever, they would probably go on Google Earth and measure it out. And then they'd have an amount charged per square meter and they just times it. And that's the price that they would get. Maybe they might add sand onto that. But the problem with that is that it's not predictable, is it? It's not repeatable. You can't, if you work out that you need to earn, let's say £500 a day, if you're charging per square meter, they're all going to come out at different prices, and it's harder to hit that 500. Whereas if you said, okay, on £250 a drive and that's it, minimum. So all you have to do then, 2 a day gets you to that 500. So that technique really helped me, and it really helped me to grow. And anyone else who I've mentioned it to, it's helped them as well. So why is that important to you, Matt? And any advice for people who maybe aren't sure of that method of pricing?
Yeah, firstly, with that method of pricing, it's a mindset game, right? People don't want to implement that method of pricing because when they go and see a drive or a roof that may be small and they've set the drive. Let's talk drive. I don't clean driveways, but I'll talk driveways. Let's say I've said I'm not doing anything under £300 a driveway, right? But I know that people are doing it for whatever square footage and they're going to clean that driveway for £150. It's a mindset thing. But it doesn't matter. You don't need to win every job. What you need to do is know your numbers and set the price. If you need to earn £300 a driveway, then that's it. You now need to change it and bring value, not square footage. People are pricing on square footage because that's the industry norm. The industry norm is to price on square footage. Well, all you're doing is you're leaving money on the table and you're leaving gaps in your work. Yes, you may have to get more leads in to sell more because you are stuck with those prices. But once you've got that ironed in, then it's absolutely fine. So my roof cleaning is £1,000 a day. And it doesn't matter if it's a 1-bed bungalow or a 3-bed detached. It's £1,000 a day. That's it. It doesn't change. And if I finish at 12 o'clock of a 2-bed bungalow, it's £1,000. If I finish at 5 o'clock on a 4-bed detached, it's £1,000. But what that allows me to do is I can look at my calendar and I can see exactly for the next 3 months what's coming into the business. I know what my costs are to run my business. I know what the profit margin is, and I know when the cash is coming in because every day is that £1,000. It doesn't change. It just doesn't change. That is the minimum day rate. We never go below that. We go above it because some jobs need extra work and we don't mind going above that, but we'll never go below that. And it is all because people have got this mindset. They are worried that if they set a price of £300 a drive, they're never going to clean a drive again. I don't think that's right. I know it's not right in the roof. I know people do that in the roof cleaning. I'm competing with people that are charging £400, £500, £600 per roof. Well, how can people justify paying me £1,000? Because of the value I bring to the job. It's not just price. People that are having roof cleans aren't just shoppers on price. They're shoppers on value. And if you change your mindset early on and you learn how to sell at your day rate, then you will change the game with predictable weekly earnings rather than, well, tomorrow's £200, then it's a £300 day, then it's a £700 day. You can't live like that. You can't. You've got to get it right now and change it. That's what I would advise. Yeah,
well, this goes back to the episode, I don't know if it was last episode or a few before, was knowing your audience, because if you are just pricing square meter and trying to be the cheapest, there will always be someone cheaper than you, and then it's a race to the bottom. I recommend. I've been reading Alex Hormozy, the entrepreneur. Well, he's got 2 main books, hasn't he? He's got £100 million leads, £100 million offers, And the offers basically talks about there's two kind of offers. There's commodity and grand slam offer. Commodity is when you're just going for price. So that's what most people go for. So just try and be the cheapest. But then your grand slam is how can you package something to make it an irresistible offer that someone can't say no to. For example, you know, like you said, there's people charging less than you, but you package yours up as in you're air, you're safer, you're this, that, and the other. And then when you get into that realm, then you're not competing with the people who are racing to the bottom, the Karcher boys as they're known. So do you think it's a confidence thing? Do you think it's people don't believe that they can get to a point where they can charge that, and then they just kind of, their safety is, oh, everyone else charges square meter in these Discords and YouTube, so I've got to do it. Do you reckon that's what it is?
Yeah, 100%. Through the mentoring that I do with business owners, when we get to the sales and pricing, we teach how to sell and we teach how to structure sales. And we have the 3 tiers, A, B and C. And it's mind-blowing. And once they've done it once, they never look back. They never look back. It changes the game for them. But it is completely, it's about confidence and it's about the mindset. And people are absolutely terrified. People don't like talking about money, right? They don't like talking about money. There is this, I think it's a very British thing that we don't like talking about money. We don't like talking about wealth. We don't like talking about pricing. We find it's a very British trait that we have, where if you go across the water to America, they're talking about
it's all money.
Every day, all day, every day. They've got no problems with it. We have got this very British culture that we don't talk about it. How long have we been trying to tell people to give the customer a price on the doorstep when you're in the garden with them? You know, I bang on about that religiously. And I still have clients come to me and they're going, oh yeah, I go. And then I go home and then I send them an email with all the prices. Just like, stop it, right, stop it. When you stood in front of them, give them the price. But we don't, because people feel, it's just a British culture, we feel, I don't know what it is, I think we're embarrassed about it. And if you're embarrassed about your own prices, you're going to struggle to sell. You're just going to struggle to sell. You've got to be confident in your own prices. If you want to charge £500 for a patio clean a day, then that's it. Just be confident. Be confident. Yeah, it's £500. Take it or leave it. Wow, that's expensive. Compared to what? Well, I don't really know. Okay, well, this is why it's £500. I've spent the last 10 years training to do this professionally and safely and transform that patio. My equipment, my van, my skills, everything that goes into it gets me to £500 a day. Okay, yeah, well, I can now see the value in it. Brilliant. Can I get you booked in? And it's not being arrogant and it's not being a knob about it. It's just, you know, people forget. I've spent 26 years now learning about business, the ups and downs, right? When people say to me, God, your mentoring's 3,700. Yeah, that's expensive. I said, compared to what? I said, there's mentors out there that are doing it at £12,000, £20,000. I'm still cutting my teeth, but I've spent 26 years of building my knowledge to give it to you. And I'm confident that's the price. And you've got to be confident in your own skin to talk about it and not be embarrassed about it, because it's your skill set, innit? If you're an exterior cleaner and you've spent 5 years crafting your trade, why are you giving it to someone for pence? Be proud of what you do. I see all your pictures. I see all your time lapses. I see all your work. You do fantastic work. And then I see you have a conversation about pricing and you're doing it for pence. And it's the mindset. People are terrified to talk about money and actually price it what it should be because they're scared of not winning work. And that's a real bad thing.
I think there's two things. One, I don't think the British like being uncomfortable. So like uncomfortable silences, addressing like taboo issues, that kind of thing. There's that in our culture. But what you just touched on, I think it's more of a fear of loss, of not making money, of losing the job. Because it's interesting, when I last October, before I set up this agency, I was testing all the ads and the AI system on my own cleaning business with the intention to not clean. I don't know if I should say it with the customers, but I doubt the customers are listening. I basically ran ads, tested the AI system, but I had no intention of booking the jobs in, so I was seeing if the leads would come in. As if you remember that, I was going out to the quotes and getting feedback and all that. And it was funny because I didn't want the job, right? I didn't want the job at all. So I had no intention to, because I was building the agency. I'd get there, and I remember there was the first, I don't know if I sent you a message when it happened. I set the ads live on the Saturday. I had 4 in-person quotes on the booked in for the Sunday. On the Monday, I went to them, and I just gave them day rate prices. I was thinking, what if I had to do this job, what would I want for it? And I was overcharging by like probably 25% because I didn't want to do the job. And 3 out of the 4 wanted to book. And it's because I wasn't worried about not getting the job. The confidence must have been coming out of me because I was just like, yeah, this is the price, take it or leave it. I remember it clearly. And 3 out of 4 of them booked. But if that was me, if that was me 6 months ago, before that moment, I would have been terrified to not get the job. I would have probably lowballed it, and I probably would have gone home and gave it them via WhatsApp instead of on the doorstep. So it's confidence, isn't it?
Massively, and we have that. We have that thing that I speak about, that if you can sell from a place of confidence and a place of not arrogance, but I don't care whether you give me the job or not, the sale is so much simple, right? People can sense desperate when you're desperate in your voice, right? When you're desperate for work, and then people will sense it, and then they know there's a deal to be had, and they know they can drive you into the ground on price. If you're stood in someone's garden talking about a roof clean, right, and they say to you, how much is it? Say it's £1,000. See that pause then? You don't say anything. I just say it's £1,000. And then I let them speak. Once they speak, you've pretty much got the sale. Never ever say it's £1,000. And the reason why it's £1,000, because I do this and I do that and blah, that's it. You're going to talk yourself out of it. Tell them the price and stop. Don't say a word. There's an awkward silence. Let them speak. Let them make the first word, right? But you've got to have that air of confidence that you don't care. You don't care. You don't care whether you get it or not, because it literally puts them into a position of, okay, I'll have that, keep bookers in. Bang, done. You honestly, there's so many ways to sell and so many tricks to sell. And they're not really tricks, they're just mannerisms and how you present yourself when you're speaking to people. But once you get that, I see people that they're desperate because they may only be 2 weeks booked up, 3 weeks booked up. And I can hear, when I speak to them, I can hear it in their voice talking to me about it. Never mind talking to a customer. You've literally got to go to that quote. Before you get out your van, say to yourself, I couldn't give a flying fuck if I don't get this job. Walk up, meet the customer, be professional, be short, be sweet, give them the price, don't say a word, let them speak, close it, walk off. That's it. That is it. Really, really quickly.
So we'll get into sales probably next episode, but it's a great point to make. I think put it into any other industry, right? If you were to buy something, I don't know, a pint of beer, some food, a holiday, whatever. And imagine if you were buying it and the person who was charging you sounded really nervous and was like, I'm almost doubting the price. You'd be thinking, hang on a minute, why are they? Am I getting lured into something here? Why is it not going to be a good holiday? Is the pint of beer flat? Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd be doubting the product. So, and it's no different in this. It's absolutely no different. If you don't think you're good enough to charge this, then brush up on your skills and make sure that you are good enough to justify it. And once you are good enough, there's no reason why you can't charge this. Why can't you? Charge whatever you want. Whatever has to make your business work, you have to charge. Otherwise, you'll be bust in September, like a lot of people in this industry.
Absolutely, and we speak about that all the time. Why do people leave this industry? It's not because they're not good at what they do, but not everybody's built right. Not everyone's got the mentality to be a business owner, because it is the most loneliest place on the planet, and things go wrong by the hour, right? And your mentality needs to be absolutely built in for this. And if you're not selling, that adds more pressure. You know, marketing and sales are top of the list. We speak about this in a couple of the previous episodes. You don't have to be the best cleaner. You need to be the best marketeer and the best seller. That will close the work for you. But we just struggle with this. It is a real thing. But it all leads back to the numbers, doesn't it? You can't sell until you know what your number is. You can't do it. You're just guessing, and you should never guess with numbers. Never guess with numbers and money ever. Top tip.
I think the biggest thing that kills businesses is cash flow. Would you agree with that? Because cash flow can make or break a business. In previous businesses, I hadn't paid attention to that. I remember months of stress when it came to like end of year and all that kind of stuff. What do you reckon? Well, what's the best practice, do you think, for cash flow for a cleaning company in terms of like payment terms, how they take payments, and then what they do with their money? Because I know people who are making good money, but they don't invest it, they just spend it, they just take it out of the business. They don't put aside like a marketing budget, they don't put away their taxes, their dividends tax, all that kind of stuff. So what tips do you have for kind of managing cash flow and keeping that healthy in a cleaning business?
I would say that one of the best things to do is, and a lot of people don't do this, right, is take deposits on order, minimum of 20% non-refundable, because it stops cancellations, so it stops putting holes in your diary. So the first thing you need to do is take deposits. A lot of people don't like taking deposits again because it's asking for money. They're terrified to ask for money. Don't take a deposit. Take a 20% non-deposit, a non-refundable deposit, and tell them why. Tell them because you're that in demand, you need to book that date for them. Once you've given them a date, that's their date, and their 20% deposit secures that. That's the first thing. Take a deposit. Secondly, when you're doing the sales bit and you say to them that it's a 20% deposit, and then say, once you're happy with the work and I hand it over to you at the end of the project, we ask for payment in 24 hours. And be rigid with that. So there's no misunderstanding from day one. You pay 20% to secure your job, and then within 24 hours, you pay your full balance. That allows you to have cash trickling in to your business every day. So if I flip it to my business, I've got £1,000 coming in a day, every day. That allows me to pay people, to pay the staff, to pay suppliers, to build, to grow, to fix things. Without that, if you're not rigid with that, then, you know, if someone's holding payment, if you're letting people, if you're a busy one-man band and you're not on top of your admin, money-wise, and people are being there, right? Oh yeah, I'll do it at the weekend. I'll chase all them. You could be looking back that you're owed 10, 15 grand, right? And you think it's brilliant because it's like a little savings account, but it isn't. Because the admin time now to chase all that, it just becomes a nightmare. You need to have it running like a military operation. You know, have it set out from the quote, the deposit, do the work, 24 hours. At 25 hours, you're chasing. You're literally chasing them. You know, that they're not friends of yours. This is a financial transaction. You have delivered your part. Their part that they agreed to was paying you within 24 hours. You really have to be on it, right? Then you asked about how we work with our money once we've got it. So one of the best things I did, and I mean there's other bank accounts that did this, but I run my business on a metal bank account, and it allows me to set up pots. And I've got the VAT pot, the tax pot, the salary pot, the miscellaneous pot, and the profit pot. And what I've done is I've got a figure, a percentage, that every single payment that comes into my bank, before it drops into my main account, it gets siphoned off into all these pots. So 20% goes straight into the VAT, 20% goes straight into profit, 15% goes into salary, 10% goes into miscellaneous, or whatever the pots are. Then what's left in the current account is what I've got as what I call the war chest. But then I'm not worried about the VAT. I'm not worried about the salaries. I know what I earn a day. I know where the percentages are. It all drops in. And that isn't something that I've come up with. There's a great book called Profit First. And if I would really strongly recommend anybody to get the audio version of it, stick it on your radio, on your van in the mornings and listen to Profit First.
Who did that? So I'm just Googling it.
And you know what? For the life of me,
Michael Witz.
Yes, right.
Sorry, that's mispronounced horrendously.
Get that book. Listen to it. It will change your relationship with money and how you run your business accounts. I promise you, that is a must read by everybody that's in business. 100%.
Interesting. There's some great points you just mentioned there. The first one I want to pick up on is deposits. Really interesting. I would say it's split with probably my clients and people I speak to in favour of and against it. I was one who made the error with this. So when I very first started in the January with the cleaning business, I made it a priority to take deposits, especially for roof cleans. But what I was finding was I bottled it basically, because when people would question the deposit, if they say, oh, I don't really want to pay this up front, I'd be like, oh, okay, no worries. And I'd just cave in straight away because I was new to business. I wanted to make money, wanted the bookings. But what I should have realised is it's that they're the customers you don't want, really. Because if they're not willing to pay 10, 20% of the job, they're probably not going to be comfortable paying the remaining 80, 90%, are they? And you're probably going to have issues with them down the line. And also, it doesn't secure the job, does it? Because if someone pays you 10 or 20% of a roof clean, they're not just, unless they're absolutely millionaires and they don't care about money, then they're going to continue with the job even if it's in 2 or 3 months' time. They won't want to lose that money. And I learned the hard way, man. I turned up to a few jobs and they didn't want it anymore. Sorry, I completely forgot to cancel. Yeah. And you're lost, and that is a big killer of cash flow, isn't it? Because then you're out of pocket for the whole job. But it was purely confidence thing. I bottled it when people started questioning it.
It is, and it's not. So what happens with deposits is, right, and we get this quite a lot. We send them a price, they say yes, get us booked in. We send them the deposit invoice, and then we don't hear off them, right? We don't hear off them. They've told us they're going ahead, and we chase and chase and chase. And then about 4 days later, they say, oh, we've changed our mind. So what they're doing is, this is what I believe they're doing is, they agree you now to get a date, don't ask for the deposit invoice, don't pay it, but allowing them to shop round for cheaper quotes. They get a cheaper quote and then cancel you, right? That's absolutely fine, and that does happen quite a lot. Not all the time, but it does happen. But you are, like I harped on a minute ago, this isn't a charity. You're running a business, right? You are running a business. You ask for a deposit. You explain why you take a deposit, because you are in high demand for the value and the services that you bring to that person's house. So to secure your space, I need to secure you and lock you in. If you need to change your date once it's locked in, that's absolutely fine. You don't lose your deposit. But if you cancel, you lose your deposit. You know, and you've got to be strong with that. But people don't do it. But like you said, people would rather turn up and go, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to cancel it. Oh, brilliant. You've lost money. No, take deposits. If you take anything away from this podcast today, take deposits. Start tomorrow taking deposits. Learn how to position it, how to package it, and how to explain it to people, and take deposits. You will secure. I'm booked up. My next roof clean is the 16th of September is my next availability. All with 20% deposits paid.
Peace of mind, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No problems at all. You know, and once you get that, you know, once you get confident with that, then you literally can. It's just rinse and repeat. The conversation doesn't change. It's the same conversation on repeat. That's all it is. It's on repeat. And once you've nailed it, you just keep repeating it. But it will set you up. You will thank us in 6 months' time when you've got cash coming into your business. If you're selling every day, right? If you're selling, let's say your day rate is £1,000, right? And you're selling one every 3 days, right? So not only are you getting your £1,000 in every 3 days, you're also getting 20% in every 3 days. So you've got more cash coming into your business, but you need to be clever with that. That 20% needs to go into one of your pots, and then you take that out on the days that you're working, because then it still gives you your £1,000 money. You with me? That's you need to be a bit clever with it.
the pots are interesting because I do that. I have metal from a cleaning business, and I do exactly the same. I have the little formula set up so it takes the 20%. I have Revolut for my agency. You can do a similar thing. But the issue is, because I'm talking like 6-7 years ago in previous businesses when I didn't know what I was doing at all. Some would argue I still don't, but I never did any of that. And then when it came to end of year and I got to do my self-assessment and then the corporation tax, just a lot of the time it wasn't there. I was having to go into profits because I wasn't putting any aside. And I think if you don't put it aside into pots, even from the start, it's very easy to then never do it. So if you just let it slide for a month or two, you'll never get back into it, and it becomes a cycle then because you just want to spend it, or you have to spend it then because you've not got it, if that makes sense. But if you have it and you don't touch it, you'll be so thankful when it comes to it because the pressure's off then. And a lot of the time you'll probably save too much because there'll be expenses that you can claim back. So there'll be a little tidy bit that you can have as a little profit there, a bit of an extra profit. It's so important that to save it. I've learned the hard way. And then the last few businesses that I've had, 100% is organised. Let's talk about tracking stuff then. So what I had an accountant from a couple of businesses back, my main wedding business, and then at the end of the couple of years I stopped using the accountant, probably because I wanted to stop paying his money, and that was a huge mistake because the next few years were a nightmare trying to do it myself. Would you recommend anyone to get an accountant, or would you want them to use QuickBooks or something like that? What would you recommend?
I think early on, if you are starting after watching this podcast, right, if you're starting, you've decided, right, that's it, I'm going to go and set up an exterior cleaning business. I'm doing it. I've got enough data now. I'm going to go and start doing it. I would suggest one of the things that I did really early on, 26 years ago, when I started, because I had no idea of numbers and money, and I was earning good money, and it just became a bit of a mess, was I always recommend get a bookkeeper. Get a bookkeeper. Now, you'll get yourself a bookkeeper who is, and I don't know, I might be talking out of terms here. When I got mine, she was a lovely little old lady that had been doing it for 20, 30 years. She charged me £120 a month. I used to take her all my bank books, all my checkbooks, because this is all before online.
I was going to say physical.
Yeah, because this was all before online, right? I would take it in a carrier bag, all my receipts for the month, all my paying in checks, all my everything, give it to her, and she would keep it. But what I learned from that, paying somebody to do that saved me money, because you don't know what you can claim for. Like, she was claiming for things like my dog and the dog food. And I said to her, how are you claiming for that? She said, do you keep cash on the premises? And I said, yeah. She said, well, the dog's part of your security. So the vet's bills, do you know what I mean? Honestly, it was mad. And the money, I was like, honestly, it might have been 140 quid a month I was paying her. But the money she saved me, and everything was in place, right? Everything was in place. Then, and she was great. A bookkeeper is great, right? It's just once a month, drop her. It's all digital now. Send her what she needs, or give her. With Metal, my accountant's got access to my Metal account. They can get into the back of it. They can't spend anything, but they can see everything. So everything's really simple. But having a specialist involved in your business early on, especially with numbers, is a game changer. And then as you grow, and you maybe become limited, and then you may become VAT registered, then you need to look at a chartered accountant, because then there's a different set of rules for VAT returns and being chartered. And then everything then goes up to a next level. If you are in the process of going into that stage of your business building, where you may have 5, 6, 7 vans and all the boys and all the girls doing all the bits, and the numbers are now north of 7 figures, if you're not doing minimum quarterly accounts, then you're missing a trick. I'd even narrow it down to having monthly accounts done. And when I say accounts, I don't mean a full set of accounts. I mean monthly snapshots of your business done by your accountant with you. So you are absolutely in charge of every penny. You know when materials go up, you know when fuel goes up, you know when profit's slipping, you know when you're making money or you're not making money. But that's when you start to get bigger. You can do it yourself. Starting tomorrow, you can do it yourself. Set yourself a task and do monthly or quarterly management accounts. Go for every quarter with your bookkeeper, write it all on a spreadsheet and have a look at it and see where you can make improvements. Why are we spending £1,000 on materials this quarter? What happened? Anything break? No, I just got trigger happy and wanted to decide to go and buy a new flat surface cleaner, or I wanted to buy a new pair of boots. Did you need them? No. Okay. Well, let's look at it then. Management accounts allow you to see where your money's going. And if you do it monthly or quarterly, you're on top of it. But the people I speak to say, people that are running 7-figure businesses, right? I say, can I look at your quarterly accounts? Oh, we don't do quarterly accounts. We have to wait for the year. I'm like that. What, you're running a 7-figure business and you're not doing quarterly accounts, if not monthly management accounts? No. Well, how do you know what you're doing? Oh, there's cash in the bank. No, stop. We're guessing. So this isn't newbies that aren't getting it. This is established companies. And I speak from experience. I've done it myself. You get caught up in the motion of going forward, but you're missing the most important bit. Numbers underpin everything. And like I said at the start, they never lie. Ever. They don't lie. It's black and white with numbers. They never lie. Really important.
I would say something about just touched on doing it yourself. I've done it myself more than I've had an accountant, if that makes sense. I would champion the accountant all day because we know how busy roof cleaners and pressure washing companies get. I know from the marketing, from the mentoring. Absolute last thing is checking their accounts, really. Yes, they'll check if they've got any money to pay themselves, but they won't check anything else. They just haven't got the time. They're cleaning all day. So it's easy as well. Like if you say, I literally have made this mistake where let's say it's February, right? And I should be logging January and half of Feb. I'll leave it till March. And then you leave it till April, and then it comes April the 6th, and then you're trying to get the last quarter. And then all of a sudden, a little task turns into days and days of going through every transaction and doing it yourself. Whereas an accountant, man, it just takes off. I said it in the last one, I think. It was like, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And you have to learn to delegate tasks that don't need you to do it. And accounts is one of them. I mean, I'll shout out my one, Neil, from Ormerod Rutter. He's an accountant, chartered accountants. They help exterior cleaning businesses. I got him from, I think it was on Jake Smelt's Zoom, whatever you call it, webinar, whatever he did, live. And I saw him and I contacted Neil, and I use him now. He's absolutely brilliant. Anytime I need him, he's there. I mean, it doesn't have to be just him, it can be anyone, but it just takes the load off and makes it so much easier. Something that you mentioned in there I want to talk about is people, so mistakes people make, and I think spending money is a big one because it goes out quicker than it comes in with a lot of cleaning businesses. And I just want to talk about this for a sec. I want to give just an example in my head. I remember chatting to someone probably in January who wanted to come on board with me. I can't remember if I told you this. He was talking about the Ionic Wand. Did I tell you about him?
Yeah.
And he went on this monologue, just anyone else, he went on this monologue for about 5 minutes about how he was going to buy this Ionic Wand, and it was like 15k or whatever it was. I can't remember how much it is. And I was just listening to him, and at the end, he was telling me all the benefits of it. And then he said, "What do you think?" And I just said, "It doesn't matter. I don't care." And he was shocked. He was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "It doesn't matter. You haven't got any work in. Why are you telling me about this massive expense when you haven't got the work coming in? You haven't got the money coming in?" And he was like, "Oh, fuck yeah." And I think we all make the mistakes that we just buy things that we don't need, and we don't spend our money when it comes in on the right things, like developing the business or your marketing. And that's not a sale to say, come to me and give me your money for marketing. It's to say your money should be going where it can help elevate your business and grow it. That's would you agree with that?
100%, right. And it's I am conscious that you don't want to put a sales pitch in the middle of this, right? But how many people do you see have got a really nice van, really well wrapped, all logoed up uniform. They've got a £10,000-12,000 pressure washing kit mounted in the back. They've got every single shiny toy, everything going, and they're scraping around for work. They're literally on the bones of their arse scraping around for work, right? They've got maybe, I speak to these people, and they're not newbies. They could be established companies, and they say, Matt, I've got no work after next week, and I'm really, really panicking. But I'm looking at the social footprint, and they've probably got, a 30 grand van. They've got a 12 grand system. They've got probably 25 grand in bits and pieces everywhere. And they've just not put the money where it needs to be. Where they'd be better off in a 15 grand van or a 10 grand van with a nice little bit of sign writing, a mobile pressure washer for a couple of grand, probably second hand, keep everything down and put the money into what makes a difference. What makes a difference? You don't know what you don't know. Investing in yourself is absolutely massive, right? To move business forward. Investing in marketing, investing in training. And I don't mean training unless you know how to clean, but how to run a business, how to structure it to give you longevity in there. And I don't want to come across as a sales pitch, but it is so important. People fail because they don't know what they don't know, and they are spending money like it's going out of fashion, like it's never going to. They may have a good month this month. They get all this money in the bank and they think it's never going to end. So they blow it. They go and buy the latest fucking whatever turbo devil spinning thing because it's silver and it's shiny and it's £1,000. Yeah, it's going to be brilliant. Customers don't care. That's not what makes you the money. It may make your job a little bit easier. It actually might not make your job any easier, but you've been sold it because someone's brought it out as all singing, all dancing, And I'll bring it back. I'll change it around now. Cobra Air. Everyone knows that I own Cobra Air and I sell that. Do you need a Cobra Air system? Do you really, really need one? No. Carry on manual scraping. You don't need to give me £4,000. Carry on manual scraping. Save the £4,000. Put it into your marketing. Put it into your own education. And literally, once you've got the workflow in and you've got the structure and everything set correctly, then come to me and say, Matt, I've got 3 months of roof cleaning. Manual scraping is killing me. How can I make it quicker and efficient? Right, you've got a workflow in front of you. Yeah, you need one of these because it'll save half the time. But now you don't need it. Go and get the marketing right. Get your social footprint right. Get everything in place to bring money into the business. Once you've got that on repeat, then look at upgrading your equipment. I just see people are debting themselves up for new vans or franchises. Don't even get me started on these exterior cleaning franchises. Mate, you might as well open the door and throw your money down the road. Then honestly, that's another topic. But that's what I'd be suggesting, mate, seriously.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll flash a shot up right now, but my first van, you'll know I kept it probably longer than I should. But my van, right, was a tiny little Berlingo, and I used to fit in pressure washer, buffer tank, all the hoses, all the attachments, all the tools, and a My Tower into this Berlingo. And I'll flash it up in a minute. It's nuts. When you open the door, it used to pop out like a Jack in the Box. But I should have upgraded. I've upgraded now. I've got a van mounted proper setup now. But at the time, I was making money in. Yeah, the kit was I probably looked a bit, I don't know, a bit small time, maybe rocking up to a big roof with a tiny van, but the profit was much larger, and I kept putting it off and putting that back into marketing. Before I knew it, mid-Feb to December was full. So I had a shitty little van compared to these boys on socials with their massive van mounts and hybrid systems, but I was making more than them, and that's the truth. And I think it comes down to mindset. That's something just to talk before we finish is, do you want... where you invest your money, I think, shows what you want to be. Do you want to own a job or do you want to own a business? And what we mean by that is, do you own a job? If you stop now, if you stop for a day, does your business still make you money? And if you stop and you don't make money, then you own a job. Whereas if you can build something that you can walk away from eventually or take a few days out and it still makes money, then you got a business. But you can't. That doesn't happen overnight. It's where you invest. And again, this really isn't a sales plug. You go to any other mentor, go to any other agency, but investing in mentorship or courses or marketing, any of these things that bring you back money, that's where your mindset should be. And then that's what differentiates an entrepreneur just to someone being self-employed and having some extra cash, I think. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. The best money you can spend, regardless of what stage you are in your business, right? Regardless whether you're about to start, you're 3 years in, or you're 10 years in, the best money you can spend is investing in the business. Not buying equipment, but investing in yourself, your mindset, and planning it properly. The best money you could spend. Honestly, it changes the game. It just changes it. It changes it completely. Because you don't know what you don't know, and you just carry on doing the same things that don't work, and you think you're doing all right, and you're not. It's massive.
I want to start a new segment, which I didn't tell you about.
Thanks.
We've only got 10 minutes left. Someone actually commented saying, this is going off topic here. He said, I love the episodes, but I don't know about time checking because the endings feel a bit rushed. Just a bit of feedback there. But I said to him, we want to keep it an hour, so it's going to stay an hour. But I thought we could maybe answer a question from someone each week because we get lots of questions in the comments or messages.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, mate, a great idea.
And there's one that someone asked, which directly comes back to this about finances. And he asked me, he said, I'm trying to find the actual, there we go. I was going to read the actual one out. If you don't have the capital to buy a van to start, can you still be successful just as a starting point and reinvest? What do you advise? That's what a listener has asked. So he's basically said he hasn't got the money to start up to get a van. What should he do? What advice can we give him? And I think this links back nicely to this episode. So
okay, cool.
What do you reckon?
Is he exterior cleaning?
He wants to do exterior clean, yeah.
Okay, cool. So if he hasn't got the money to buy a van, if he's got a car, use that. If he hasn't got a car, start with neighbours. Start with neighbours either side of where you live. Because you can walk to your neighbour and carry your kit. You can do the job at a discounted price. You can then get the social media. You can then get a Google review and you can start building it. And guess what? If you're really good and your prices are keen to get you going, you can do the whole of the street. You can do the whole of the street. And then with a little bit of hard work, you can go on to the next street. Yes, you've got to carry your kit further. Maybe you get yourself a little pull trailer. Yeah, it may look a bit, people may laugh at you. Doesn't matter, mate. Doesn't matter. I mean, there's a prime example. Who's that lad on Facebook who does it on his bike? Is it Alfie, the handyman? Drives around and he collects all the wheelie bins and he pulls 20 wheelie bins through his town on the back of his push bike, cleans them all at home and takes them back.
I've not seen it, no.
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate. And then he's been sponsored. He went to Australia for 6 months to make a podcast in Australia, travelling Australia on a bike. But he just started in Bolton or somewhere on a push bike going round. It's Alfie on Jobman or something.
All right, I'll check that out.
And that's what I mean. If you really, really want to do it and you've really got that drive, start next door. Start next door at the next door's drive. Clean theirs. Clean it. Clean it for free. Get the social media. Go to the one after it. Say, I've just cleaned Jenny's drive. I only charged 150 quid. Can I do yours? Can I do yours?
Good idea.
That would be my suggestion.
Closer to home, not needing to travel.
Absolutely.
I said to him, you could consider hiring a van for a month just to get going and just to see. So you're not committing to a full lease or you're not committing to buying a van, but you can have it. Bring your kit with you and just see if it's for you first before investing. That was the advice that I gave him. But I think, yeah, I like that idea. Start closer to home. So if you're listening, that's for you then. And we'll do that every week. We'll answer one question.
Yeah, cool.
5 minutes late. Sorry to rush, like one of the comments said before. But one question each, unprepared as usual. You've got one for me, I believe you said. Want to hit me with it? We've got 5 minutes.
What's your biggest profit earning job you've done? You don't have to give us the value of the job, but what you can give us the value of the profit and what the job was.
I know exactly the one it is. It was a huge house in Tamworth and Arden, which is a very affluent area near Solihull in the Midlands, and it was for a footballer, a new footballer who was coming to the Midlands. I won't say who it is, but it was an absolute ginormous house, like it's so big. Maybe I won't put some footage up. Or maybe I'll put a few cleaner shots over the top of this. I'll show you how big it was. But the son and daughter owned it because the dad passed away and it was left to them, and they were trying to Airbnb it. But it's absolutely massive. I landed the whole roof, the patio, which is about 10 times the size of where we live, and then the driveway, which took 3 days because it was so big. And it was amazing. It got me all the footage. My best performing ad was from it. Me and my dad worked on it for like 10 days in total, and it was wicked, and the sun was shining, and I loved it, and we made great money, great advertising, and it was really good fun to work on such a beautiful property. So that 100% best job I've done. I loved it. And then a footballer moved in not too long after, so he's probably still there now. So yeah, it was good fun.
Happy days. There you go.
Yeah, one for you. I was thinking, as we were talking about that, when did you realise, or did you have to learn a harsh lesson between differentiating between revenue and profit? So basically, have you ever, in a point in your business, learned the lesson that you were taking stuff, earning stuff, but then shit, that's not profit, and it all goes back out, and then you may be left scrambling? Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, through my account. My accountant has been with me for 21, 22 years, and I got it from him early on. I was obsessed with thinking we were doing well, thinking we were ripping it up, and he sat me down and said, "You're going to be out of business in 6 months." I said, "What do you mean? I'm busy. I've got work everywhere. I'm fucking flying. I'm the mate." He said, "You're going to be out of business in 6 months. You're not making a penny." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." And this would have been at the time when I was probably 20 employees deep, thought the world was at my feet. I was tearing up pages, winning contracts, commercial work coming out my ears. Everything felt great, but the numbers were a mess. And he said, "You've got to get this. You've got to get a grip of this." We then spent the next year working on them numbers, understanding them, understanding the fundamentals. And the change then allowed me to grow it from 20 members of staff to 110 members of staff and northwards of a £2 million turnover. Without that conversation, it would have gone bust.
These harsh lessons have to happen. I think you have to go through things. You and I are going to speak on Sunday about something that's going on, and I think it's going to, when things happen in your business, you can come back so much stronger from it. They have to happen. They're part of the journey. And that sounds like a classic example from you there.
And I'm ever grateful for him. Ever grateful for him every day. But that's the importance of numbers, see. They don't lie. There's no lie. And someone that studies them for a living, an accountant, they can see patterns and they can see it instantly when me and you miss it. We miss it. There you go.
Cool. Well, there we go. Well, we're on. That wasn't a rushed ending, was it? That was a nice pace to the ending.
Yeah,
we got a minute left. That was a really good episode. Key to any business. It'll make or break your business. And if you don't get a grip of them, you'll be out of business very quickly with a lot of people. But if you get a grip of it, you'll elevate yourself and you'll be solid. Have solid foundations. Less stress when it comes to self-assessment and paying your tax. And your business will be stronger overall. So that was a really good episode. If you haven't checked out the previous episodes, check them out. Vision and goal setting, social media, understanding your customers, building your brand, and then there's this, which is the finances, and they're all going one after another as a journey. So please go back and listen. Thank you for the comments. If you've got any questions, we're going to do that segment every week. DM us, comment down below. If you've got any questions about anything, we'll try and answer one every episode. The next episode is a very, very interesting one. It's about sales, and for me, that is the biggest thing that holds people back, I think. And we'll get into this. This is your expertise, isn't it, Matt? This next episode, so I'm looking forward to that. Thanks for joining us again, as always, and we'll see you all in episode 6 for sales advice.
See you on the next one.